This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for July 31st, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast. Got a big show today. We're going to do things a little differently today. Going to start because the final four matchups are set. We're going to start with our tournament update brought to you by Beach Caddy. Go to beachcaddy.app if you're in Stone Harbor, Avalon, Ocean City, Seattle, or Wildwood. Let them take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. They will move you in, move you out. They will also give you the best beach cards on the Jersey Shore. So go to beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your move in, move out, your beach cart rentals, and let them take this stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. So the Final Four is set. Tom Gola knocked off Earl the Pearl Monroe with 55% of the vote. This one was close all day. Gola got off to a big lead, and then Monroe had a big lead, and then with the overnight voting on the Back to the Future voice and text line, that's what put Gola over the edge. 55% of the vote. He joins Wilt, Dawn, and Kobe. And look, here's the way we're going to do it. I'm going to leave this voting open the entire weekend. I'm not going to sit here and read you all four, all four of these players' accolades because you've heard it throughout the past month of the tournament. And what an exciting tournament it's been. But the way the brackets were set up pre-tournament, it's really a generational divide here. You got Wilt taking on Tom Gola, and then Dawn Staley taking on Kobe Bryant. Final Four matchup one, Wilt may be the GOAT player of all time. He was obviously the most dominant to come out of Philly, if not of all time. Set the statistical standard for everyone. 68 NBA records he still holds. Taking on Tom Gola, a LaSalle icon. Basically, Tom Gola was Philly basketball before Philly basketball was cool and set the stage for guys like Wilt, guys like Earl the Pearl Monroe, Dawn Staley, Kobe Bryant, sort of the original OG before it was cool. I was doing it kind of guy. And then with Dawn, she's basketball royalty. She's an international star and still influencing the game today. And then Kobe could be the most decorated player to have ever come out of the Philadelphia area. Five-time champion, another global icon. So you'll have all weekend to vote. Get your votes in. I'm excited to see how these go. All four of these players are deserving. Both of these matchups are outstanding. But any of my social media, the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Vote early, vote often. You can vote everywhere too. If you vote on my Twitter, you can go to TikTok and vote. You can go to Instagram. You can go to Facebook. You can call the Back to the Future voice and text line. But spread the word. Let's get some participation on this because these really are the four pillars of Philly basketball, in my opinion. Wilt, Tom Gola, Dawn Staley, and Kobe Bryant. And you can make a case for and an argument for all four of them in various reasons, but let's have some fun this weekend with some Philly hoops, and let's get set for the championship game on Monday. Who's going to be there? That is up for you to decide. Wilt Chamberlain versus Tom Gola, Dawn Staley versus Kobe Bryant. Get those votes in any way you can. Again, vote early, vote often, but make sure you vote. But that is our ultimate or their greatest Philly high school hoops figure tournament. Final four matchups are set, brought to you by Beach Caddy. Get your votes in. Tom Gola versus Wilt Chamberlain. Dawn Staley versus Kobe Bryant. who is moving on to the championship. All right, let's switch gears a little bit to the Eagles. Another decent day at camp from all accounts that I was seeing. Obviously, Vic Fangio had some fun with the media, caught some flack from Keith Olbermann, and it's like, come on, dude. Like, he said, if you missed it, he said something about pleading the fifth like Fauci, and Keith Olbermann was all over him politically, and it's like, okay, not everything needs to be about politics. He made a joke. It was kind of funny. And that's not even being partisan. That's just, it was a funny joke. If you didn't think it was funny, it's fine. But to call him scum or whatever he called him, it's just ridiculous. And again, he had some fun. It did appear that the defense got the best of the offense yesterday. But you'll see this. Cooper DeJean said that it's good that the defense is going up against the offense because it's giving them a look on some of the teams they'll play that run the same style of offense. And it's also good for the offense because, in case you didn't know, our defense is pretty damn good. So by the time they get done going through camp against our defense, they should be good. And that's why it pisses me off back with the Buddy Ryan days that if they would just if he put half a thought into the offense, that offense was going up against one of the best defenses in the league every single day at practice. But it is what it is. Some other news from Vic Fangio's press conference. The experiment of putting Jihad Campbell at edge is over. He's going to be focusing primarily on linebacker. But I still think there might be some packages and times where you could get a little creative. But for the most part, and I think that's probably the right move, they will be rotating safety. Coop has been playing safety in the base package. Eagles don't play the base package too often, so it's going to be kind of safety by committee. And I mean, they got some good talent there, but that is one of the primary position battles I'm looking for. And then to the offense, Tank Bigsby is getting a lot of run with the ones, which, again, I like. One, because I like the way Tank Bigsby plays. Two, it takes some of the pressure and workload off of Saquon. And I think this team has to be all in to try to go win another title. Jalen Hurts had a sick throw to Dontavian Wicks to end practice. Wicks made a great catch on it. One of those things that we wished A.J. Brown would have done last year. Speaking of A.J., I saw that Ian Rappaport was on Pat McAfee's show, was asked about it, and he was like, look, we're going to always talk about the Eagles. They're one of the premier teams in the league. But overall, it's been very quiet without AJ, and there's been a lot of noise coming out of camp the past 2 years, and I think that's a good thing. They seem to be all bought in, all focused together, buying into whatever Nick Sirianni and ChatGPT are saying. See what I did there. But good to see that they're noticing that from a national perspective. And then the other key thing out of a interview was Jordan Mailata was talking about the detail of the offense and how, which I'm not sure how I feel about this, but he's like, I never really cared or thought about it before. Or, I kind of got the sense that he said it was never explained like this, but he sees what his specific role is when he's practicing. That obviously on this play, this is what you do. But in the meetings, Mannion is going through everybody's position and showing how Jordan Mailata and the specific way he blocks impacts the route running on this side. And he was like, I didn't know there was that much depth to what an offensive coordinator could bring in. And again, I think that was sort of under the radar thing with all the Vic Fangio stuff and the catch by Dontavian Wicks. But I think that's pretty telling that how long has he been in the league and he's just now kind of coming to that realization. So I mean, like I said, 2 days in, I'm good with what's happening. But I thought that was a very kind of telling thing. They're back at it today. Probably, I think, a little bit lighter of a practice, but listen, we're about a week or so away from the first preseason game, or a little over a week, I guess, probably closer to two, whatever. 2 weeks away for the first training camp game or preseason game. So switching gears to the Phillies, and there's a lot of chatter about the Phillies. A lot of people pushing back on Bryce Harper for his comments about needing help, saying, oh, he's kind of throwing his teammates under the bus and this, that, and the other. And look, I don't think it's him not believing in his teammates. I think it's him looking at it and saying it's not working the way it is. And honestly, any team that makes a move at the trade deadline is essentially saying somewhere on the team, they don't believe in somebody. I think this is one of those cases where you got to try to win a World Series, and feelings be damned. Like if you can upgrade a position by bringing somebody else in, by all means do it. And now, was his delivery of the message, was it appropriate? That's debated. And I kind of, a lot of people were not happy because he's big on keeping things in house and things like this. And look, you can debate whether or not he should have said it publicly or not. Personally, I don't care, because I think if you go back and compare it to what AJ said regarding over the past couple of years with the offense and passing and this, that, and the other, he wasn't wrong either. And I went on record. You can go back and check the tapes. Should he have maybe handled it differently? 100%. Should Bryce have handled this differently and maybe went to Dombrowski personally, or had the conversation in the locker room? Probably. But the fact of the matter is, it happened. And with AJ, it sort of got things going, and whether or not they rallied around it or not, that's to be determined. But maybe this is Bryce's way of pulling an AJ Brown and rallying. And again, I don't have a problem with the message. The delivery probably could have been better, but he's not wrong. Just like AJ Brown was not wrong. So I guess it all comes back to your opinion and your feelings on it. But I think if you're offended as a Phillies player by what Bryce Harper said, then you're probably the problem. Just like with AJ Brown, if you took offense to that, I'm looking probably at Jalen Hurts there, you got to play better. So if these guys were all playing better, Bryce wouldn't say we needed help. Because we've heard Bryce say, I like this team as... So, I don't know. It's just one of those things, and I think this team right now is at a crossroads. See what happens from the trade deadline. But I think the next week for the Phillies is going to determine whether or not they make a playoff push or they just sort of fade off into oblivion, and then we're like, whatever, see what happens with baseball and all that. But they are in Baltimore this weekend. Bullpen game today. Christopher Sanchez and Zach Wheeler fill out the rest of the weekend. Union are back home on Saturday to take on Atlanta, looking for another win, their third straight since the World Cup break. And then completely forgot the trivia question yesterday. I skipped right over it on my notes. I was going to say, which player took over for Bobby Abreu once he was traded? And that would be Shane Victorino, who finished out that season in right field before taking over full-time in 2008 when Aaron Rowan was his contract wasn't renewed. So I forgot to completely say that, but Shane Victorino took over for Bobby Abreu. And then I mentioned the Mike Schmidt not getting the first ballot Hall of Fame nod. And that was, it was Babe Ruth, and really that first class in the Hall of Fame back in like 1936, I think it was, none of them got 100% of the votes. So there's been this sort of unwritten rule that, well, if Babe Ruth didn't get 100% of the votes, nobody's going to get 100% of the votes, which is stupid. And if in case you're keeping score at home, Mariano Rivera is the only player in Major League history to get 100% and be a unanimous Hall of Fame selection. So it has been done. It just It's just stupid with these unwritten rules. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Philly Jimbo as well. Continue to spread the word. Get your votes in on those social media platforms for our greatest Philly high school hoops figure tournament. Wilt versus Tom Gola, Dawn versus Kobe. Get those votes in. And of course, still not too late to check out the newest episode of the Brotherly Birds Breakdown. I also did see a Sixers thing where someone in Jaylen Brown's camp said he's not coming in with an ego, was very instrumental in trying to recruit LeBron here. I think that's kind of what we expected. But I like that. I mean, these guys are coming in all bought in, trying to win a title, and sign me up. Sign me up.
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday, only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
Right, it is Friday. Time for Fridays with AI, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use your promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. They got your LeBron shirts covered. We put an order in for back to school. My son wanted a few shirts, so put that in last night. But go to Philly Goat. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. We're going to continue this spotlight on the 66-67 Sixers. Today, they're taking on the 03-04 Pistons. Remember, we're trying to get a full representation of where they stand in the hierarchy of greatest teams of all time. This is one of the better defensive teams that have won an NBA championship, so let's see how they perform against Wilt. Sixers are the home team due to having a better regular season record. In Game 1, Sixers set the tone early. Played it surprisingly, I should say, played some up-tempo, fast-break basketball. Caught the Pistons off guard. Pistons were able to slow it down thanks to Chauncey Billups and Rasheed Wallace, who had 24. Chet Walker, though, had a game-high 29, including 3 for 3 from three-point range. Wilt struggled from the foul line, went 0 for 7, and this kind of kept the game close, but did dish out 8 assists to go with 16 points and 14 rebounds as the Sixers pulled away late, winning at 125-114. Game 2, Pistons were able to be more physical. It was a tighter played defensive game. Rip Hamilton was a matchup nightmare for the Sixers because of his off-the-ball movement and screens. He had 24 points, but it was the Wilt Chamberlain domination. 25 points, 20 rebounds, 4 assists, and 6 blocks. But the game was still close. Pistons were down 1 when Wilt blocked Chauncey Billups' attempt to give the Pistons the lead, hit Luke Jackson for an easy transition layup, seized momentum, and the Sixers held on to win 103-100. Series shifts to Detroit for Game 3, and the Pistons tried to slow it down. The constant double teams by Ben Wallace and Mehmet Okur on Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt, though, wasn't having it. 22 points, a ridiculous 32 rebounds, 7 assists, and 6 blocks, and just absolutely dominated the Pistons. But again, this was another close game. Pistons got it to single digits thanks to Rasheed Wallace and Rip Hamilton. But Wilt grabbed, on one possession, 3 straight offensive rebounds, hit a layup, got the N1, and then hit the foul shot to kill the Pistons rally. Sixers grind out a win, 97-88. Game 4, Pistons trying to avoid being swept. Rip Hamilton put the Pistons on his back, scored a game-high 30 points. Sixers, though, used a furious fourth quarter, led by Wilt Chamberlain, who had 18 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists to close the gap. But it was 2 free throws by Chauncey Billups with under a minute left to put the Pistons up for good. They were able to deny Wilt the ball on the final possession, and the Pistons avoid being swept and shift the series back to Philly. In Game 5, back at Convention Hall, though, Sixers come out on fire. Wilt was efficient, scoring 26 points, 16 rebounds, added 6 more assists. Chet Walker also led the way for the Sixers with 22. Tayshaun Prince and Rip each had 19, but the Sixers used a 14-4 run to end the third quarter to coast to a 113-100 win, and this series was never really close. Kind of expected it. I was surprised that AI picked this team for the Sixers to play, but I get it because of the defensive prowess of this team. Wilt took home the MVP award, averaging 21 points, 21 rebounds, almost 6 assists, and a ridiculous 5 blocks per game for the series. He was just too much. Even on his off days, he was too much for the Pistons to handle. And it showed that Wilt has the ability to adapt depending on who the opponent is. And really, again, that does not surprise me. Next week, they take on the 13-14 Spurs. Anxious to see how Wilt matches up with Tim Duncan. And that will be our final matchup of the series, and we'll kind of give a breakdown of sort of where they landed, how they rank, and all that. But it was this week, it was the Sixers beating the Pistons 4-1 in a series that just really wasn't that close. I liken it kind of to the Sixers-Lakers in 2001. But that is Fridays with AI, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. Get your LeBron James gear from Philly Goat. My favorite still is, and I ordered one for myself, a LeBrontosaurus. Get it at Philly Goat. Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com. Promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. All right, and then finally, what happened on this day in Philly sports history? Let's go back to 1977. Greg Blusinski homered twice. Mike Schmidt and Richie Hebner also homered as the Phillies beat the Giants 5-4 at the Vet. For the month, though, it was a great month for Greg Blusinski, who hit .355, 10 homers, 32 RBI en route to the National League Player of the Month honor. And then 5 years later, Mike Schmidt hit his 12th homer of the month en route to being named the NL Player of the Month for July of 1982. Manny Trio, though, this was the story, made an error in the 7th inning, ending his consecutive errorless game streak at 89 games. That is for a second baseman. He was chasing down Joe Morgan, who had the record with 91. He also ended his major league record, 479 consecutive chances without an error. So a rare error for Manny Trio on this day in 1972. And that leads us into today's trivia question. Who currently holds the major league record for consecutive games without an error for a second baseman? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Any of my social media, go to the Discord. The link is in the description. You can also vote on the greatest Philly high school hoops figure tournament there as well. But who currently holds the Major League Baseball record for consecutive games without an error for a second baseman? And fast forward to 2006, Phillies lose to the Marlins 15-2, sort of the day after the Bobby Abreu trade. Chase Utley went 1 for 3, but ended July with a .425 average, 13 doubles, 2 triples, and 6 homers, 24 RBI, a 1.229 OPS, en route to winning Player of the Month for the National League in July. And then 2008, it was the Raul Ibanez show. He did it all. Went 3 for 5 with 2 homers and 4 RBI, including a walk-off double, who's scoring Hunter Pence, who had just been acquired. Phillies came back from a 5-3 deficit, scoring 2 runs in the 8th, and Ibanez's RBI double in the 10th. And if you remember, after the game, this was a Sunday game, we were there. I didn't see this until we got home. Hunter Pence was interviewed by Sarge, asked him what he was thinking when he was rounding third, and he said, "Good game. Let's go eat," as the Phillies sweep the Pirates. One of the moments that endeared Hunter Pence to all of us here in Philly. A little bit out of order on this one because sometimes I make a mistake. We're going to go to 2009 for this one. Cliff Lee made his debut for the Phillies out in San Francisco, had a no-hitter going through 5 innings, ended up with a complete game 4-hitter, striking out 6, giving up a run, went 2 for 4 at the plate with 2 runs, scored, and we were just, if you think back, remember, we were just like, okay, we're going back to back in this one. Jason Worth hit a homer and 3 RBI as the Phillies beat the Giants, and what a great first impression for Cliff Lee with the Phillies. And in 2012, it marked the beginning of the end of an era. The dismantling of the 2008 Phillies began as the Phillies traded Shane Victorino to the Dodgers. From there, it was piece by piece. They started trading the guys that we all loved during that era away, starting, like I said, with Shane Victorino on this day in 2012. Don't forget to get your votes in for the tournament. Make your voice heard. 2 Final Four matchups, Wilt versus Tom Gola, Dawn Staley versus Kobe Bryant. Who's going to meet in the final to see who is the greatest Philly high school hoops figure of all time? Get it done. On this day in 2012, Phils trade Shane Victorino, signifying the end of the golden era of Philly baseball. 2009, Cliff Lee was masterful in his debut for the Phillies. Raul Banez had himself a day in 2011, hitting the game-winning walk-off RBI with Hunter Pence, who's famously said, "Good game, let's go eat." Chase Utley wins National League Player of the Month in July back in 2006. Mike Schmidt wins it in 1982. Manny Trio ended his consecutive games and consecutive chances without an error streak with an error in the 7th inning in 1982. Greg Luzinski homered twice en route to National League Player of the Month for July in 1977. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on anything, really. How you feeling a couple days in the Eagles camp? What about Bryce's comments? Is this something that's going to fracture this team? Of course, the 66-67 Sixers, how are we feeling about them? Where do they rank among the all-time greats? And of course, we got the Phillies looking for this is a big series for them. I mean, I feel like it's going to go a long way in telling, because the trade deadline's Monday, and what they're going to be able to accomplish and do for the rest of the season. They're either going to rally together, or this is going to go downhill fast. I don't think there's any in between. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 31st, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. Have a great weekend. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.